Hello. Hello, police. Yeah, what's the problem, sir? We just drove down our farm track. Yeah. Go and feed our pheasants. We come across a Range Rover with 3 people in it. Yeah. It appears that they're dead. I don't know what's happening. Blood in the motor all over them.
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Now, before I start this video, it's important for me to mention that the author does not seek to discredit any previous accounts or versions of events leading up to the gruesome murders. He merely offers an interesting alternative scenario to be considered. Bill climbed the stairs to the door of the Romford outpost. As he entered the office, he had pushed the morning's conversations down deep, where former Special Air Service Bill Handley lived. Anything interesting, Sarge? The question from DC Tony Firmin, who was sitting with a set of headphones on and a writing pad in front of him. Nah, not really. Just picking the bones out of this. They're concerned these lunatics are going to start some sort of war. They just wanted to kick around some opinions and get my take on it. You know, do I actually think these clowns will do it? Bill grabbed his chair and slid a notepad from Firmin and asked, "So what have these wankers been up to then while I've been gone?" "Ah, same old. Putting on everyone they can for money. Nothing's moving. People are slow paying them, maybe hoping they'll go away forever. Be a right shame if you settled your bill and these wankers got themselves killed the next day. You'd be gutted." Firmin laughed. Bill joined in, thinking, yeah, real gutted. Did they set a meet with their bent copper? Bill was a sergeant on a serious police investigation. He could have fun with the troops, but there was work to do. Business as usual seemed more important than normal. Yeah, made a note on the previous page there. It's this evening at 7 o'clock and it's the corner shop near his old lady's. We had a quick shifty on the map, and where Tucker said his old lady, we guessed he means Porky's mum. There ain't no corner shop near Porky's own house, but his mother lives just up the road from one. Yeah, it'll be his mum. Tucker reminding the little shit that he knows where his mum lives, I bet. He's going to be asking him where this plane is landing, as we know. Now, if these clowns do go for it, then the shit is going to really hit the fan big time. He obviously wants Porky to know that they know exactly where his old mum lives. It's typical of their MO. They don't know the boundaries, do they? A statement, not a question, from Bill. And he was comfortable with the knowledge. Tucker was letting the crooked copper know that he knew where his mum lived. Keep them coming, he thought to himself. Oh, we know that, Sarge. These fuckers don't care, do they? Girlfriends, wives, kids. Proper bits of work, ain't they? Almost rooting for the other firm, to be honest. Firmin laughed, and Bill had to join in. Well, something's going to give here for sure. Anyway, I'm up the yard again for the next couple of days. I reckon they fancy this mob are definitely going for that load. I reckon they might have to mark the boys in blue's card that they got their days wrong, before it gets too silly. You reckon, Sarge? How can they do that? This little shit Porky will go running to his mates the minute Essex police get set up for a bust. Well, maybe so, but we already know Tucker ain't going to mark Clive's card, so Essex and the Met will get their collar and seize the coke. The Essex boys will stay away. Yeah, I suppose so, Sarge. I mean, at least we won't have a bloodbath on our hands and they'll get a decent collar. So you reckon that's what they'll do? Well, Tone, look, I honestly don't know, but it has to be an option. I can't see them letting our Essex boys marching guns blazing. Bill had to be careful not to let Tony Firmin think there was any possibility of Tucker's firm actually getting a run at the imaginary cocaine. Yeah, but Sarge, if that happens, then our boys will be off the hook and become a proper nuisance. They're nasty fuckers, and if the lid's off the box and Clive ain't there to keep it on, then they're going to become a proper handful in Essex. I know, Tone, I know that. We'll get them one day if it's not today. They aren't going anywhere. We do our job right and greed will get them all in the end. Yes, Sarge, but there's going to be a lot of casualties between now and then. Firmin was right, and Bill knew it, especially if he didn't put an end to it. The rest of the day, Bill kept himself busy. The trouble was, time had slowed down for him. He was consciously trying to act normal on several occasions. He pushed the thoughts deeper and was able to get on with things as he always had done. The ranting and ravings of the firm now seemed impotent as Bill listened to them. It was a good feeling, one of power. The ability to act and do the job he had joined the police to do. Stop crime, protect and serve, albeit in a rather unconventional way. Bill had now spent months listening to the way the crime syndicates of Essex and East London operated. He knew how violent, evil, and powerful they were. He saw with clarity the way they operated with almost impunity from the conventional police forces. Bill understood the difficulties conventional policing methods faced trying to contain them. They were just generating too much money. In a way, they were almost an unstoppable force. Tucker had ducked out the back of a busy pub just after lunch. It wasn't a usual haunt for him, and the guy he'd met was one of his loyal foot soldiers. No one knew what was discussed. It sounded like a lot of nothing to the branch team, from what they actually heard over the background noise. This time next year, we'll all be millionaires. That was what was heard over the din of the busy lunchtime session. Tucker had chosen a busy venue where he wasn't well known, so he didn't clear the place with his arrival. Tony Tucker and crew were now to a business venue as welcome as a colony of lepers. The foot soldier had a friend who wasn't on anyone's radar. He picked Tucker up at the back door. The foot soldier was sat in the window and had watched his friend's car drive out of the car park. He had called Tony a few minutes later, who had probably laid across the back seat. Your mates are still out front, looking at your motor, mate. You're sweet. Tucker's on the move, Sarge. DS Bartholomew was tracking the burner mobile Tucker was currently using. The contract phone he had was stationary, probably still in his Range Rover in the car park. The listeners picked up a bit of audio from Tucker's burner mobile. It sounded like the car stopped and the driver got out. From what they could make out, Tucker would pick the guy up in a few hours and he could then drop Tony to the nearest cab office, whereon they assumed Tony would return to his own car and reappear on the radar for the Essex police surveillance team. A couple of hours later, and the team's suspicions were right. They had checked the file, so they knew where the bent copper's mum lived. The meet was in fact a small parade of shops not far from her home. Not the most complicated code to break. Porky must have preferred not having Tucker in his own car if he could. This time, he appeared to join Tony in whatever vehicle he had arrived in. Tony ran the old pals routine, and it sounded like he'd brought a small present. Probably a couple of grams of coke. The team heard him tell Porky it was a good bit of gear. The file note was made. Then Tony got to the reason for the meet pretty quickly. He had waited longer than he wanted to get to Porky. The branch team could feel the tension. Or maybe Bill could, and the others were more relaxed. That bit of gear due in here at Christmas. You said you know where the plane lands? Tony had pushed the event horizon out a bit, probably deliberately. Did I? It sounded feeble from the informant. Bill and Tony Firmin exchanged glances. Porky wasn't going to get off that lightly. Yes, you did, my son. Tony let it hang. Oh yeah, I did, Tone. But it's proper on top for them. I mean, I wouldn't go within a mile of the place, mate. Or their firm. Porky was backpedalling. We've hardly got a team camped up there already, have you? It ain't fucking due to land for weeks. It's fucking freezing at the minute as well. Tucker was pushing. Porky would fold, and they knew it. Nah, of course we ain't, mate. Why do you want to know where it is? It's only some poxy field in the middle of nowhere. A reasonable question from Porky. But Tony would have known it was coming and had plenty of time to work through his arguments to obtain what he needed to know. Tucker would know that Porky would know all about it, especially if they left a few bodies in the field. Porky would know that Tony was behind it and had nicked the load from under their noses. Porky was never going to say anything, how could he, without implicating himself? Tony would slip him a few quid in the new year and the little runt would keep his gob firmly shut. It would put the pig even deeper in Tony's pocket as well. The knowledge would be another nail in the bent policeman's coffin. The higher the ladder the bent little bastard went, the more he had to lose and the more he could be squeezed. I want to have a look at this place, mate, and I want to know whose place it is as well. This is my manor, and if they think they can land planes full of gear in my back garden, then I want to know who's in it from round here. Tone, you don't need to worry, mate, they're all going to get nicked anyway. Porky was avoiding the question. Paul, mate, I want to have a look. Can't do no harm. You can do that for me, can't you? Tony had put the question again. To not answer it would be awkward at best for DS Green. Yeah, OK, Tone. It's near Rettendon. I'll have to pull out a map in the office and have a look just to refresh exactly where it is. It's only a field. That's all, mate. It's like a small track runs to it, off the main road. It's sort of near Rettendon, on the way to Woodham, if I remember right. Let me have a look on the map in the morning. I doubt I'll even be able to drive down it in this weather. Good man. Then you can show me where it is, please, mate. Yeah, sure, Tone. Look, it might be a bit awkward right now. Why don't you wait until after we've nicked them? Then the surveillance on you lot will probably be finished as well, and I'll take you up there then. It was a fairly reasonable route out for the sergeant, and he sounded like he was being helpful as possible. But it didn't help Tony at all. Paul, how about I let you into a little secret? Something I know and your mob apparently don't. Bill and Tony exchanged glances. Was Tucker going to tell Porky his plans? Yeah, sure, you can trust me, Tone. Porky sounded a little hesitant over the crackled transmission coming through from Tucker's burner phone. I think your boys have got their timings all wrong. You see, I've got a little whisper from my sources. The gear's going to be here Friday or Saturday at the latest. No way, Tone, it can't be. We'd have known about it. They've got undercover guys right on it. Porky sounded more confident. It was a subject he was sure of. He had also just given up colleagues who on another day would now have their lives in serious danger. Well, I have it on good authority that that piece of piss has a large shipment landing in the countryside somewhere around here in a few days' time. If it's landing where you reckon you've been told, then you lot have got your dates wrong, mate. No way, honestly, Tone. They said they'll know exactly when it's coming. Paul, look, mate, we ain't stupid. Just because we never got O-levels or anything. One thing about us, mate, we all know a copper when we see one. There ain't no way that you lot have got an undercover geezer into that fella's firm without him knowing about it. It'll be feeding you lot, we want you to know. Odds on you ain't even got the right field. So what's the harm in showing me? Tony hadn't thought of that scenario until he used it as an argument. They could end up sat in a field freezing their bollocks off while the other fella had his gear landing miles up the road. It must be the right place because they said they've used it before. Porky blurted it out. That's interesting, you're sure of that? Yes, Tone, that's what they told us. I mean, there's no reason for that bit to be wrong. If it worked once, they'd use it again, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would, mate. That's what I'd do. So you need to show me exactly where it is and as soon as. I don't want them fuckers to slip in under both our noses. You sure about this, Tone? I'm very sure, mate. So I want you to show me where you think this lot's landing. Because if you lot ain't going to be there to greet them, I am. Fuck me, Tone. What the fuck will happen if you have the parcel off them? Porky sounded genuinely concerned and surprised. Leave me to worry about that one, mate. Now, can you show me this field? If it turns out to be the right place, then I'll forget about that bit you owe me. And I'll also put a score on top for you. It'd be a nice fucking Christmas for us all. Fucking hell, Tone, you can't. You're under observation anyway. They'll know it's you. There'll be bloody murders over it. No, there won't, mate. No one will know. Only you. And you ain't going to tell anyone, are you, mate? Bill and Tony just looked at each other. Porky hadn't replied. It was a deathly silence in the car. OK, mate. I'll do the best I can. I'll call you in the morning. Porky was probably looking to get away as quickly as possible. Giving up the location of a large combined police force operation wouldn't be making him feel very comfortable. Don't you go missing on me now, Paul. I'll be expecting your call in the morning. Tony was making it clear the timescale he was expecting Sergeant Green to stick to. Tony didn't have a lot of room for manoeuvre. Of course, Tone, you know you can rely on me. Tony had achieved one thing. The landing site had to be the right place. Porky had definitely confirmed it, and he knew the location and could find it. If the bent sergeant came through the following day, great. If not, then Tony would have to up the game and let Pat chat with Porky. Within an hour, Tucker was back in his own car, back under surveillance they assumed, and on his way to meet Pat and Craig. You have been listening to the book Once Upon a Time in Essex. This book is available to purchase online at Amazon and other online book retailers. Many thanks for joining me for this video. Very shortly you'll be able to see some other videos from the channel, including the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Take care. Cheers.